whispers tearing lives, hearts raw scarred. Judges grinning, deals in shadows locked. Case workers speaking truth they've mocked. Gunning on for justice, rage intense, bringing kids home from this broken fence. Corruption weighs heavy, laws collapse. Kids go missing behind their maps. CPS stealing kids, no trace. Lies build walls, the truth they erase. Gunners howl, cuts through the air. He won't stop midnight, he'll get there. Dark hallways where the guilty play. Secrets hiding, hope fades away. A man with fire, voice like a storm. Breaking chains, reform, transform. Gunning on for justice, rage intense. Bringing kids home from this broken fence. Corruption weighs heavy, laws collapse. Kids go missing behind their maps. Family shattered, cries dulled by fights. CPS takes them in the dead of night. But Gunner speaks of brighter days, cut through the lies. Light ablaze! Family shattered, cries dulled by fights. CPS takes them in the dead of night. But Gunner speaks of brighter days, cut through the lies. Light ablaze. Behind their maps.
Hey look, this for every mama got her baby snatched on some bogus shit. For every pops they locked out the crib like he ain't blood. CPS, y'all been eating off pain for too long. We know what you on, but now it's war, this gunning foe. CPS. Kick doors, no warrants, they taking our seeds. Say it's neglect, but they planting they greed. Feds in they pocket, judge got a fee. Run it like a business, adoption spree. Contracts overseas, got partners in France. But shorty from Shy, he ain't get a chance. Mama work 2 jobs, daddy do right, but they still snatch his baby in the middle of the night. Fuck CPS, they ain't saving shit. Just a system full of snakes getting rich off kids. We see through the cap, we done taken the hit. Now it's Suffer Davis popping and we loaded the clip. Gunna got the case, now we in that fight. Taking this to SCOTUS, shining that light. They ruined good homes, now we flipping that script. Time to bring them back, time to empty the clip. They labeled us monsters, called us unfit, but it's they paperwork dirty, all of it forged and flipped. How the fuck they selling babies to a bidder overseas? Then tell the fam you unworthy. Man, please, we got mamas in pain, daddies in tears. They breaking our hearts, been doing it for years. Now we riding with Gunner, and we got the proof. Sworn sworn under oath. Now it's time for truth. Trump got the team and the pen in his hand. He said bring them home. Now that's the plan. You feds been hiding, but it's over now. We moving like an army, and we ain't bowing down. Fuck CPS, they ain't saving shit. Just a system full of snakes getting rich off kids. We see through the cap, we done taken the hit. Now it's off of Davis popping, and we loaded the clip. Gunna got the case, now we in that fight. Taking this to SCOTUS, shining that light. They ruined good homes, now we flipping that script. Time to bring them back, time to empty the clip. They ain't gods, they ain't law, they just people. Corrupt people. And when the people rise, ain't no system safe.
Good evening. Welcome to another edition of Gunning for CPS. I am your host, Gunner. Welcome to another Sunday, as we are on every Sunday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just a couple of things to kick things off. We will be continuing our series on foundational documents tonight, following up with the Declaration of Independence. But we've got a couple updates. One, yes, we did finally get things. We had some technical difficulties as far as an update in our case. We are actually able to file an appeal, which just went through before the show, which is why we were just a little bit through here, through the state of Tennessee, to have our original case overturned due to the fact of Rule 24-7-123, which that code has recently changed, and it's a mandatory or standard code that must be followed. That there was no cross-examination. So if cross-examination was not available, forensic interviews and other evidence and this and that is not allowed in. It's almost like a fruit from a poisonous tree type thing. That never happened. So it was all based off of hearsay. So finding out that the other thing is, you guys can watch too, is a lot of your state websites and or federal sites, when they have updates where lawmakers actually go in and change the codes. Believe it or not, that code change, because I follow the senators and so on and so forth, as well as our local congressman here. That's Tim Burchant is in our district. So they send out updates via email of some of the changing laws, so on and so forth, and how it will affect you as it goes through, the state legislation. So that was one thing that recently changed. So if you have a case in Tennessee and you had a forensic interview that was entered, but there was no cross-examination, and I'm not talking about the interviewer, I'm talking about the actual child by attorneys or pro se, what it may be, um, then your forensic interviews are not admissible in a Tennessee state court. And if that's all they have on you to adjudicate your case, which in the case, yes, that's basically all they had in our case. And that was even tampered with, because even the Child Advocacy Center even had evidence when we subpoenaed some actual video footage, which they're required to hold on to until the youngest child is of the age of, I believe it's 18, or 19. It's one of the others. Each state varies. You'll have to check on that too. And that included common area footage where they interacted with the child. So all documentation per CAC centers, child advocacy centers, requires them to retain all that interaction between a child and a state worker, or people that work with CAC, that work at the CAC, those common areas, everything. If there's cameras up, they are required by law to retain those interactions as evidence to make sure there's no tampering or anything else that's going on, which we were screaming the entire time. Tampering, once again, they even admitted to deleting evidence, having time to coach the child for over 2 hours. That doesn't work. That's called coercion of a witness. And for them to say it, let alone other crimes that were done by CPS, in our particular case, as well as showing a sheriff's office deputy that was standing right there as these crimes were happening, which an officer, a deputy, has an obligation when they witness a crime to step in and arrest people, but did not do a damn thing. And as you guys know, this may be something that is going on. Catherine, I believe Darren's in the back there. He's coming out with us here in a minute. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and bring the Punisher to the table. Darren, what's
up, Gunner?
just another weekend, another edition, man. Hey, you want to pop the website in the messages here? Catherine's wanting to know how to get on one of our shows. We generally take that through the website. There's a thing, be a guest, I believe it's on the webpage to go through there, and they'll find the best place with our multiple of our shows to find which is the best platform for your experience that feels the strongest. Once again, some of this is like a pre-interview. Some shows just don't do that. We just have people on. We tried to screen a lot of people just to see where they will fit, and then double checking some of the validity, because once again, we don't put out false information. We do. I said do. Yes, I said it. Some background research and everything else. Research on everything, and do a little bit of here and there and a little digging ourselves before we come in with these things, because we have to really watch as being a reputable news source, and actually being myself especially, and I know there are several others that I'm an internationally listed international freelance journalist. So there's a lot of requirements binding somebody by doing that. Even though there is freedom of the press, doesn't mean you go off all half cocked or all stupid. We have to be educated as we go along. Speaking of the education, Darren, I found a few of these things, man, that I think you're gonna one. I want to dig into some of these things, and we'll go with a little bit of some of this other stuff here. But I want you to watch this video, okay? We've got a video here that it shows very similar to a situation I did, where the police show up, beat on the door, and then try to coerce you to work with CPS, that there's not a criminal activity. They're not even supposed to be there, okay, at all. There's no crime.
Right.
And for them doing security and everything else is a waste. It's an abuse of power. One thing, and one, it's utilizing your tax dollars to, those officers could be doing something much more important, such as crimes and dealing with crimes and other issues in your community, that now they're assisting CPS to help them intimidate, to violate your Fourth Amendment. Wow. And let's see. So let's see. I got this one here. Ba-boom. And check this thing out.
My thing. So let me go talk to her real quick and find out what's going on. Just go ahead and have a seat.
All right. Well, can I get to see all y'all's IDs first before we proceed? Yes, you're fine. I know who you are.
Here's the thing. We're not going to say argue.
I'm not trying to argue.
Have a seat.
I need to see your ID as per my constitutional rights.
You don't need to see my ID. You know,
you
see my badge,
sir, you're a public official.
Okay, you see my badge right here. Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. I'm Officer Richards. Officer Richards.
Okay.
Okay. Now do as I ask and have a seat.
Can I see your ID and your ID too, please?
Yeah. 100% abuse of power. They're not even supposed to be on your private property. They're supposed to walk out to the 6
Okay.
And once again, here,
can
walk
I
up to the door.
get to see all y'all's IDs first before we proceed? Yes, you're fine. I know who you are.
Here's the thing. We're not going to say argue.
I'm not trying to argue.
Have a seat.
I need to see your ID as per my constitutional rights.
You don't need to see my ID. You know,
you're too identified. There's
so you're a public official.
Okay, you see my badge right here. Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah. I'm Officer Richards. Officer Richards.
Okay.
Okay, now do as I ask and have a seat.
Can I see your ID and your ID too, please?
What?
So wow.
Okay. So what kind of safety role is that? They're supposed to be sitting back, making sure that there's no confrontation or anything, not have a seat. You have a seat. How is that any sort of protection for us, the people, right? Well, that cop's supposed to be there to protect us. I mean, that's intimidation. That's pure intimidation. Sit down and do what I say. Right now, I'm taking your kids.
Well, one, it's you're on my private property. Where's your warrant? Where's your court order? Where's the documentation that gives you authority, other than we'd like to have a talk with you, is as far as there's legally able to go on what is called the knock. that gives them the idea to identify and say, hey, we'd like to have a conversation with you, this and that. Questioning people on private property is a form of constitutional rights violations of seizure. The federal courts have already ruled on this. So to continue this, you have to go out to the curtilage. Hey, knock, I'd like to have a talk with you. Would you come out here with me to my car? The 6-foot easement off the road, okay, or whatever it may be in your state. Or we'd like to have a talk with you downtown or bring you here, here, and here. You remember the old movies and everything else. You go, hey, we're going to take them downtown and question them. Yeah. I mean, but now we're on private property of just saying, what the hell? What gives you the damn right? There doesn't. You're breaking the law. And this is happening. We're seeing videos like this across the nation. It's not one particular small rural area. It's not just, major metropolitan urban areas. It's not just one state. It's not just one county. It's like an infectious, disease. I mean, hell,
it sure is.
Maybe this is the COVID-19 that's actually real. You know what I'm saying? I mean, is there a jab against this one to make CPS go away? I mean,
they've been warning us. How long have they been warning us about the police state, right? Like people have been telling us, and everybody just keeps saying, no, conspiracy theorists. Well, now guess what? Look at what we have now.
Yeah.
We have an acceptable police can walk around and just do whatever they please, when they come onto your property.
Now, Renee Danunsky, and I hope I got that right, that is in here, was talking about international stories. Yes, I do a lot of stuff on my Facebook that covers international, Australia, New Zealand, France, Ireland, Switzerland. We've covered things from the Middle East, so on and so forth. It just depends on the news. A lot of this people don't understand. This is a world issue right now with CPS is in a lot of nations that are just not total totalitarian, enterprises of kings or ruled by military, such as Iran or anything else. Why? Because women don't have rights in those countries, and neither do children. And so once again, and here's the other thing that a lot of people don't understand. Your children have constitutional rights the day they're born. It is up to the parent, or it's technically a job of the parent to oversee those freedoms to make sure they're not violated of the children. But when they come in and they attack the parents, you take away the protection, the constitutional protection, such as these forensic interviews. Here's the question. Where was that child's attorney? We got a problem.
Where was any of it?
Exactly. So on and so forth.
You know what? That's a great question, Gunnar. When they come up and they do these initial things, why are you not given the opportunity to get your attorney there? When they come to your house to seize your child, kidnap your child, why is it that you don't have the opportunity to get your attorney there? They don't.
Why were your rights not read? Why were your rights not read to you?
Right. Why were you not Mirandized? Right. So there's a lot of things there, man. There's a lot of things that they're doing wrong.
Well, now let's think about this though. They're coming after people, accusing them of criminal acts of child abuse, which is a criminal code.
It's a crime.
Which they're going to slap on you either civilly or criminally, regardless of what it is. Where's the Miranda rights? Because you're doing an investigation.
Where's the charge anyway? Where
exactly?
Who out here that has been been look at the charges that they go up against you are abuse and neglect, right? So abuse for certain is against the law.
But if you've got a criminal code, though,
right?
I mean, either in civil or the other, do you not still have to go before a grand jury, civil and criminal?
I don't know.
For a criminal code.
Or Catherine Lester, you got the answer to that one. I mean, I would think that you'd have to. But here's my point: if they're not charging you for a crime, how are you being abusive? Because abuse, again, is a crime.
And if I'm in civil court, that's contract court, is what it's called. It's contract court. Where is there a contract?
Not until you sign the safety plan.
Well, and once again, when you're not signing shit, then there's no contract. Why are they not dismissing the cases?
Right. For something that's voluntary, that looks like it's awful.
Show me the
intrusive.
contract.
Look at when someone's telling me to sit down and do something, that doesn't seem like a voluntary situation.
This is the social credit system that they use in China. If
Mhm.
somebody doesn't like what you're doing or this or that, we call in CPS, and then the government comes in and forces you into their belief system and their ideals, which is completely unconstitutional to do your belief system under the First Amendment.
Mhm.
You cannot impose your will on me without violating my constitutional rights. You can't. The fact that you're doing it is an actual crime against the Constitution. And for a state to step up and do it means your state's committing a First Amendment violation of your belief system under religion or beliefs.
Mhm.
You're violating my belief system. That's a First Amendment right violation. Wow. I mean, now here's one, and I caught this, and I love catching these little things every once in a while on Facebook. But check this one out. This is one where this bitch has already been caught, and now she's here to cover up.
I'm just checking.
Because I've been watching a lot of CPS going above the law and acting like they're more than what they are. Okay, is everything
We got
fine?
a report. This is what we
Okay,
have to do.
it was because I was naked outside. That has nothing to do with my kid. My kid was asleep. We indicated to the police that my kids were asleep, and they said, fine, okay. There's nothing wrong. They talked to her. They left.
Have you been drinking? I smell alcohol.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Is that
willing
illegal?
to submit to a drug screen?
Is that illegal?
Would you be willing to submit
Is
to a drug
drinking
screen?
illegal?
Not inside the home.
Okay, I'm inside the home.
Not inside the
All right, did you
home.
check her kids? Is everything fine? Oh, officer?
Are you willing to submit to a drug screen, Mr. Pike?
Is that an official officer or is it my neighbor? It's my neighbor.
We don't know who that is.
Court order.
So, are you willing to submit to a drug screen?
That has nothing to do with why you're here. Your report
you willing
says I
to
was
submit
naked
to a
outside
drug
my
screen?
apartment. That has nothing to do with drugs.
Let me violate your
I'm sorry,
constitutional
I ain't
rights some
recording you,
more.
ma'am. I'm recording these.
Are you going to submit to a drug
Okay,
screen?
so
With what
I've
probable
checked the
cause are
child.
you doing a drug screen?
Fine, isn't he? Great.
And that's illegal search and seizure. No, I will not consent.
Hey, Bear. What's up, dog?
I hope you don't get in a vehicle and drive.
I don't drive, ma'am.
Get inside.
I haven't driven in like a year and a half. I don't need to drive.
Come on, baby.
So is everything fine?
No, you're okay. You're okay.
So this whole
Once
being
again,
drunk
inside the home,
outside,
what I'm doing in my home.
naked,
Well,
is that a concern now? I mean,
it is a
it's
concern.
well. Then the
because we got
the police
report.
should have did something that day. They should have arrested me that day instead of waiting 2-3 days
if
for
I did
y'all
a
to come
crime-
up and to check on my kids when they were asleep. And I told you that multiple times. I told the officer that multiple times, and they left. They said, "Fine, you have a good night."
Can I talk to your wife? Is she willing to talk about anything?
Do you want to talk or what?
Really, don't take.
Not really. We got kids to take care of, ma'am.
Okay.
What? Hurry up.
When did they come to your house, Mr. Pike?
I just got done telling you 2 or 3 days ago.
2 or 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Attentive
And you
listening
state that you
skills is
wasn't
amazing with these
outside.
people.
I wasn't outside.
And your children wasn't away.
My kids were asleep at 10, 11 o'clock at night. They go to bed at 8:30. Well, my oldest goes to bed at 8:30. My youngest goes to bed a little bit after.
Okay.
Okay.
None of
You're
your
refusing
fucking
for us
business.
to come
how I'm
in.
raising my
I
kids.
never-
Well, okay.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
going to the school to see Oliver. I just thought I'd let you know that.
Unsolicited
denying all
visit on
these
public thing, utilizing
That I
the
was
schools.
that
opening
that
them
I
up.
was outside naked in front of my kids having sex, recording and putting on Facebook. Yes.
They didn't say
that
you
is-
were outside.
You just-
You were outside naked, recording, put it on Facebook,
No, I didn't.
and you were in here and told the officer that you've done it all over the.
Asking.
I'm just trying. I'm just trying.
You a lying
This is
ass.
Okay, how
No.
many times? 5, 6 times now? Yes.
Okay.
My kids were asleep at 10 to 11 o'clock at night.
When the officers
My
came.
kids were asleep. I'm not going to repeat myself. Yeah. This is done. My kids were asleep. The officers came. They said everything was fine. They talked to my wife. She said everything was fine. I explained what happened with this.
And what happened with that?
We were celebrating having sex on my table, and it broke. And she got a black eye, and her family's been up my ass because they think that I beat her up. It was about a week and a half ago. And I've explained this to not only CPS, or she's called CPS supervisor, and your supervisor. Did you call us Uric Springs? She called Uric
We were
Springs
having
Police
marital coitus while the kids
them
were in bed and broke the
and
table being a little
we still
kinky and
keep
wild.
getting harassed.
How is that any of your
Where do
damn
you work
business?
at?
Because you know what? If me and my wife needed any help, we would have called you. If there was any problem, my wife would have been on the phone with y'all saying, you all need to get
Do
here.
you have a phone number in case
Nope.
I need to
Nope.
contact you?
No, you ain't contacting me.
Man, oh man. So they go out and have a little celebration, and then this is what they get for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because they were bumping uglies. She ended up getting hurt from over kinky sex, which they're both admitting to. While the kids were in bed, being marital coitus. This is a problem now because, then I'm naked or this or that, and I'm in my home. I'm allowed to be naked in my fucking home.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, where does the Constitution end? And let me get
now you're invading in my privacy. Now you're invading in my privacy and my
Fourth Amendment. Yeah.
Right.
It ain't your business what we do in here. We can fuck on the kitchen countertops.
Yeah.
We're married. It's called marriage.
And the cop said that there's no crime. So we're good.
Well, here's the other thing. Well, they shouldn't be doing this in front of the kids and this and that. Are you fucking stupid? You do realize your grandparents lived, or great grandparents lived, probably in a 1 or 2 room home. Think about this for a minute. They knew what was going on. The kids, even were there, what's happening? Just kick them outside. They knew what was going on. They weren't stupid.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, we were doing this. No, they'd have usually, blanket or this or that over them or whatever. And then we come into having more space with more doors than anything else. But when did this become a crime? You're telling our great grandparents and everything else were criminals and child abusers by having sex under the same roof as their children? Dear God, how do you think they got there?
Yeah.
The amount of stupidity. Pure stupidity. So
now having sex in public, or now having sex in your own house, is a reason for them to come and take your kid, to come and interview your kid at school, to come in. This is just asinine, man.
It's unbelievable. Well, let's go down memory lane, because I found this old black and white video, because you guys know I love history. Let's watch this, and then we're going to jump right into the Declaration of Independence, for the second half of our show. But check this out. This will blow your mind to think, oh, it hadn't been going on so long. We haven't been being manipulated or anything else and stuff like that. They even called it out back then. Watch this.
Welfare departments claim that they want to encourage marriage and thus get women off the welfare rolls. But the investigation of a woman's eligibility for ADC discourages the beginning of any relationship with a man and marriage.
Well, if he's someone who is sincerely interested in you, you would like perhaps to invite him to dinner, maybe he would like to spend the day with you. And if this happens, and you have a neighbor who particularly don't care for you, then the welfare department will hear about it, and then they suppose that this man is living there, or that you are supporting him out of your funds, you're feeding him with your funds. Or if you claim you're not feeding him out of your funds, then their answer will be, then he's giving you money.
And she said, oh, you can't have a boyfriend. We don't allow that. And I wanted to know why. And she said, because it doesn't look right, with the kids. And so I said, I still don't see where they have anything to do with me with a boyfriend. And she said, well, you'll have to get rid of him. Well, we doesn't lie the ADC mothers with boyfriend. And I couldn't understand that. So she left. When she left, well, then she come back to tell me that my case was denied. This is what happened. She come back to tell me that they had denied me, that I could not get on the aid.
And it begins again. Brenda is 19, unmarried, and she has just had a baby. She's learning to care for him on her own. She's trying to get a job to support him, and she lives with her aunt, who has 5 children of her own. Money was the reason she decided not to marry Kenneth, the father of her child.
I mean, I would have married him, you know, while I was carrying the baby, but he had no job and couldn't support us, and his sister getting married. But no sister getting married, so I said, wait. I plan on marrying him next year, and no sooner than next year. Have to give him time to work first. I mean, what's the sense of marrying somebody if he can't support you? That's his job to support you and the baby, not my job to support him and the baby. So after he start working, you know, work more than he been working, then I'll marry him. And I think he's able to take care of 2.
Many of the girls who go on welfare never graduate from high school. A girl who gets pregnant in most high schools is automatically expelled. Usually she doesn't come back. She's on her way to a lifetime of dependence on welfare. The Webster School in Washington, D.C. is a high school for pregnant girls. A psychotherapy session is a weekly part of the curriculum.
I first found out that I had become pregnant, and when I found out that there was this school called Webster, I thought that I was going to be shut out away from the other people and that I was going to be an outcast. But when I came into Webster, it seems that I had more what you would say, people on my side, more attention going towards my way. And with the help of Miss Gill and with the help of some of my good friends here, I seem to be making it and all.
Being here with these girls, you know, they are closer to you. I think that all of us are closer together than girls that have not been pregnant, because they all have their opinions and they can easily say things. But we have, you know, we're all going through the experience.
Mrs. Patricia Schiller is a clinical psychologist. She directs the conversation toward future plans and prospects.
Well, I've got a job. I'm going for an interview today. And I filed for support from the father in the court. And it should be coming through by the time I get back in school in September.
For a long time, I was under the firm belief that no one really has any excuse for being on public assistance. But when my grandparents and my father found out I was pregnant, their first attitude was, we aren't going to do anything for you. And my grandmother told me from the beginning, you may not bring this baby into my house. Now, she has responsibility for me until I'm 18 years old. I talk to my social worker here at school, and I have talked to people down at child welfare. And it's being made possible right now for my baby's born in September for me to put that child in a foster home and to visit it. And they'll take care of it until after I finish the 12th grade, and I'll be 18, I'll be on my own, and then I can provide for my child in my own way. And therefore, I think that it can be a good program.
When a girl drops out before completing her high school education, she finds it
I think it'll be a good program. This will work for me.
To take care of the baby. In many instances, this would force a girl to go on public welfare. If she gets
Mrs. Fabola Gill is the school's principal.
Which is terrible, and there doesn't seem to be any way out of this for me, she is likely to have another out of wedlock child. And as the babies continue coming, she gets farther and farther down into her state of depression.
My Lord.
I
don't even know what to say.
Let me perpetuate a system and gather them together that it's easier to this, but you notice the breakdown in every single one of those. A lot of those systems.
Did you
is
notice
no family?
Did you notice when she said, after I turn 18, I 12 out of 12th grade, I graduate, and then I'm turn 18, I then will be able to fight to get my child back. Fight to get your child back. Not they'll give you little Johnny back as soon as you're done and congratulations, you made it through school and we're so glad we helped you. Yeah. Not only that, you will fight to get your child back.
Yeah. I'm flabbergasted at this is the early form of CPS and child welfare and foster care. When they were perpetuating this for money, even then, and this was in the minority and the poor communities. That's who they targeted.
Of course.
And that's very well documented. Now it just doesn't matter. They're going to go after, if you're not part of their club or part of their idealism, they will send CPS to your damn door and steal your children till you comply or till you contract, and then you're in the system.
Unless you truly are beating your kids, and then they will not.
Yeah.
Because they don't respond to those things. Those are broken goods or damaged goods, they call them.
No, they won't come in and grab kids like that. No.
You'll never find a person that's actually been abusive to their children that have lost their kids.
Listen.
Show me one.
I know of a situation to where, and this is messed up, that technically grandma has the baby, okay, by the court system, okay, has the custody, the guardianship, or whatever it may be. Mom is a felon, drug user, so on and so forth, but yet she still has the kid. If she works, then she gets it on the weekend. If not, she has the kid 90% of the time. How is it any different than CPS coming in and making money, not looking at the kid and knowing, particularly knowing that she's with her mom and made and reached out to other people? I have no food. Technically, the person's homeless too, but this woman is still able to get her child. And where is CPS in any of this stuff? They don't give a shit because grandma's got guardianship. And so long as they do a scheduled appointment and grandma gets a heads up to do an inspection and the baby's there and looks halfway decent, they don't give a shit. Why? Because they're collecting a check every month. It's fraud. They don't give a shit about child safety. It's a lie.
Yeah. Child safety. Child's best
interest. You mean the court's best interest to make more money and
that's
perpetuate a monthly income.
The child's best interest is the decision made up to the judge of if he feels what the judge's opinions are on children and childcare and so on and so forth. So basically, it's not, I would tell you all this, make sure you learn your judge very well. Go online, search them out. There are plenty of resources and resource things that you can check your judges out, their preferences, what they like, what they don't like, and so on and so forth, because the judge is the one that's going to make the decision at the end of the day. And that's what the best interest of the child is. That's what everything is down to in that court, is whatever that judge thinks.
And there's times too where you get a judge, like particularly in my case, that was a civil court judge technically, that came out of the juvie court judge. Now, isn't that a conflict of interest right there? Working with those same people that you came from that area to adjudicate?
You would think.
Move over a county or two out of those particulars or in those courts, move them around. Nope. We're going to keep you right here at the same place. Wow. I mean, and people wonder why, when they can start looking into it, especially here in Blount County, Tennessee, that a lot of stuff that's going on. If you guys keep up with the news or you're a local that watches the show, holy crap, the stuff that's in there. The sheriff's involved in it. The DA's involved in it. Everybody's Bob's your uncle and covering themselves like crazy. Matter of fact, they're getting ready to get down to the, if you guys remember the case that hit national news about the teacher that was in the school system that had abused children for over 18 years. And or what was it, 18 years and over almost like 180 or to 100 kids over that time that only got 6 months probation is now coming to the end of that 6 months probation. And the state took away his license for 2 years after being with this. What is wrong with the system? I mean, it's so broke, it's stupid. You should never, after you've done that and you've had a crime like that, a criminal act, go through this and that. Now you can go through appeals, all these other things, even all the way up to the United States Supreme Court to file your stuff, to make sure you got a fair trial. There's ways to do appeal. You just got to find the right court, so on and so forth. But if you've been convicted of this stuff, why the fuck are you around children? And I say that, and I get it that there's some profanity, but make it make sense to me. I mean, that's like putting a damn crackhead right next door to a meth house. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yep. Crackhead next to a meth house. Yeah. Oh, man.
I mean, make it make sense, because then it comes down to, okay, well, there's this and that. Well, a lot of our rule with this and that of, if Tennessee doesn't take and overturn it, because that's a due process violation when you don't have cross-examination. And that's what we were bitching about. They got to go up there in this court and spew all their shit with not a single bit of shred of fucking evidence. And then the judge turned around, and especially you guys know, Harrington runs her damn mouth and then turns around and goes, well, I believe what the child said. How? We didn't even get a chance to cross-examine her to come back. And then you have the guardian ad litem for the children that tells the mother, don't bring those kids in the courtroom right in front of her attorney. I'm like, how is this even a courtroom? This is a fucking lynching.
Why are you ever doing this? Well, yeah.
This ain't a court. Because the court follows, oaths and rules and laws and codes. And when you look at it, it's like, well, where is it? And then some of the stuff I think we were looking at, even under that code, the way they were trying to file it or categorize it as almost, they would try it as a mistrial. So you mean they get another fucking shot? They've already broken the law with that code violation. When you don't cross-examine, that's a due process violation. You don't get another shot to add it with this and that. And that's going to be a huge damn question in the federal courts of, even within these codes, what the hell is this crap with a mistrial when you've been punishing people for this amount of time to do it again and do it again? No, you broke the law. You don't get another chance. That's the whole point of going to the Supreme Court, the appellate court, and say, please overturn this because my rights were violated and broke your codes. That's one of your standards on top of it. Not just a code, a standard, something that must be met. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. And a lot of these judges that are up here, I'll be honest with you, in multiple states and everything else, judges and magistrates, for them to sit in that position of authority have got to be the most ignorant damn bastards I think I've ever damn met in state court. Dumb as dog shit. Dumb as dog shit. Why? Because they don't even know their own damn codes. Why is it you don't go into a thing and say, here's our checklist you must meet. Let them do what they're going to do and this and that. Why didn't the judge and or the magistrate in both cases in ours turn around and look over at the CPS lawyer? Are you going to provide the child for cross-examination? Because you're entering the forensic interview as evidence. Hello? Where's the child? Otherwise, it's excluded. It's the last day of the trial. Do you have anything else? No. Where's the child? Child's of a certain age to where it can be questioned. You don't have to be present in the court. Your attorneys can do that, especially if you had attorneys, which we did.
The main witness of the case. The main witness of the case.
Yeah. So now you don't get to see your accuser or face your accuser. That is a constitutional rights violation of due process in federal, in criminal or civil damn court, whether it's state or federal. It's clear as damn day. You can't rewrite court rules, the civil court, the rules of civil procedure mandated by the federal government. You must meet. You realize your state court judges have to meet that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have to. Otherwise, you end up filing something called a Rule 60. The judge or the magistrate did not do their damn job they're paid to do. That's a Rule 60. They screwed up.
Yeah, it's a question for relief. Not a
Yeah.
question. It's an access asking for relief of the decision. There's many parts of the Rule 60. There could be ineffective counsel. There can be new information. There can be anything that you're trying to reverse the decision of that lower court, because that's the only shot you get when you're there. Before you got to move up. So you have ways of doing it, but yeah, they screwed up. They screwed up, and you're trying to ask them to fix it.
Now, Alicia, you said that your judge did both the criminal case and the CPS case. Was the question becomes on that, which case came first, the criminal or the CPS case? Because yes, they cannot hear both, because one is a criminal case in a criminal court, and then that judge must be an Article 3 judge to do a criminal case. Okay. Whereas the other ones are not Article 3, and you can't go down. You can't hear both. So you would file under the court, your state court of appeals, to say, hey, this is a conflict of interest because they also adjudicated over this case.
Well,
and now you have a bias because they're hearing information.
The first step that they should do, if that's, and I know this personally too, the first thing that you should have done is you should always, like Gunnar will tell you too, always find out who your judges are. I can't emphasize that enough. Find out who's ruling against you, because you need to find that. Because what your lawyer should have done, if you had one and you had that situation, you should have been able to call for recusal under a bias. Now, bias, listen, people, bias is not what you think it is. Like, oh, this is against me, so it's biased. That's not what bias means at all in the courts. What bias means is the overall view of people looking at the court and seeing that the court can still run and be done by fairly.
Yeah.
So if it's just something that you think it's about you, it's not about you. It's about what the people think, and as they perceive the court to be able to rule justly. So, your friend that says, "Oh, well, she can't do that because of this." Well, is that something that the court's going to look at and be like, the judge can't make a decision? Right.
Let's give them a real world experience, just like Sharon encountered in Kentucky. You had a judge that had a bias that says, "I hate homeschooling."
Right.
That's a bias.
That is a bias. There's no
and
way
it's also against an executive order and constitutional rights.
Yep. But now what you would do, though, so your attorney would file a recusal notice. Before you even got to the courtroom, they would already know this and file for that recusal, so that you wouldn't have to fight this afterwards.
Yeah.
Because what happens when you do this, I'll tell you what happens. And you do this on the day of your hearing. When I went into the courtroom, now this judge, Gunnar, heard a lot of my previous cases, like the hearings for the CPS case. Then I had the criminal case. I had the criminal case going as well, but then I also had a case against the caseworker had a case against me for a restraining order on me, saying she was scared of me. After a year, she files that. Now, this judge sat on the seat for all of those things, including the restraining order trial. So we went to trial. I went up against her. I lost that, but not by much. That judge, then we sit into our TPR file, our TPR hearing 4 months later. I sit down. I'm like, oh my God, it's the same judge. And I looked at my attorney. I'm like, yeah, this is the same judge. Now, for one of the reasons for recusal is that the judge is privy to arguable information.
Mm-hmm.
Or so what that means is, like, so Gunnar and I are having a dispute, and we got to make this judge hear the difference. Well, she's heard all the sides of the story now. So how can she come back and be an impartial judge? They can't be. because now they've heard information. Because don't forget, when you're ruling on the case, that ruling only comes from what you have in your hands and by your ears. That's it. That's what they get. And you as a judge or whatever, or a witness, you don't even get that, because most of the time you can't even have a referral book in front of you.
Yeah.
Like a judge can. So it's got to come from your head to your mouth. You know what I mean? So
clean and clear. In other words, there's no previous, I'm not privy to this, I'm not privy to that.
Right.
The same way with the jury. They'll ask jurors, do you know about this case? Have you heard about this case? Is there something with this?
Or this person.
Or this person. Yeah.
So you need to, recusals are a serious thing, and it's harder to get them to retract than it is to just, it's harder to get them to retract instead of just doing it from the onset and getting them removed from further proceedings, because they don't like to go in there and then change the judge, and then the ruling has to change. You're going to get 60, like you said, which I'm sure would come down anyway. But you know what I mean? It's just a lot more steps and parts of unnecessariness than just paying attention to who your judge is and making sure that you know. That's my spiel on that. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good, man. I mean, we need those real world examples to where people go, hey, that sounds familiar. That's one of the things of making it for people to understand. Yeah.
Sorry I forgot. This is the best part. 4 weeks later, after we get all this said and done and we're TPR'd, right? I get a notice in the mail that I need to be at Superior Court, which is our higher up court. That on such and such a day, blah, 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 for my final hearing on the criminal case that I was, that all this started from.
Right.
I get in there. I'm waiting. And I get nothing. And I'm watching everybody in the courtroom just going through everybody's leaving. And then all of a sudden, 6 or 7 sheriffs came up. There's no one in the courtroom but me, my wife, and my mother. And an attorney came over from the state and asked me if I minded if the judge recused herself from this hearing. And I said, for what? Well, they were dismissing all my criminal charges. I said, who's the judge? And they said, who it was. And I said, okay. No, she can sit there, because she gets to sit there and read these 13 charges or 17 charges against me that she based her decision on of the TPR that I pled the 5th on, but she still found me guilty. She can sit there and read those charges back to me proper and know that she TPR'd me for the wrong goddamn reasons, or there should have been no reason, but I was TPR'd based on these cases that she got to read the list. 17 felony charges dismissed by the state.
Yeah. That let her chew on that crow sandwich real good.
Yep.
Yeah, no mustard.
Not at all.
But see,
Maybe
people
no
get feelings and see, that's where a lot of these people and these judges and a lot of magistrates, this and that, they take it personally, and they're not supposed to. The concept is do your job, apply the law, applying with the protections of the Constitution, which you're supposed to be able to do from the bench to make sure that that's instilled and rights are upheld. And instead, we're to rush decisions. We're cookie cutter. It's get them out the door. Why? Because they're getting paid to do it. Then you get into the fact that they get child support. And a lot of states, child support, part of that administrative fee goes to the judges and magistrates' retirement funds. Then you look at the fact that they have the bid bond, the security bond, and all those other bonds and everything they do when they pull the damn court, and see how well they're paid. Because all of a sudden, you don't know what anybody makes. But somehow or another, somebody's getting paid. And then some of that they take and apply for relief under federal grants and stuff like that, such as Title IV, something under Title IV. Well, then they get more reimbursement. Because even though they're collecting, and this is the irony, if they're collecting the child support they're supposed to. In other words, when you get into child support court, means you're not paying anything, and you're a deadbeat, and so on and so forth, and you're not dealing with the child, you're not 50-50, this, and that's the original part of it, if the way you read it. And the government, the federal government, under Title IV, I think it's D, is it not, for child support, Title IV, and you guys can look at that, which one it is. There's a lot going on, but I believe it's D, that says we'll now give you X amount of multiplier money for collecting those funds. Well, if you have two decent individuals that are adults and got divorced and they've worked out a payment plan to split everything 50-50, there's the concept of 50-50 that's supposed to be in divorce court and even with the children. But of course, we've played games in divorce courts where we've had attorneys say, just accuse them of abuse or this or that or doing something with children, and you'll get more money and you'll get more this and you get more that. And these are dirty tactics. And what ought to happen is there ought to be investigations on those, because if it comes out, if it's not true, that those attorneys should be held liable and should lose their license and actually have jail time for doing that stuff, for coercing somebody into saying that something has happened and has not. But there needs to be an accountability, and that needs to be, and once again, is that state by state? Is that federally? Uh, Once again, that's something to take and have those conversations as an accountability system. But this is what the bar is supposed to be doing within itself, with the board of responsibility and this and this and that they don't do jack. Instead, they cover for the judges and the magistrates that they haven't done anything wrong because Bob's your uncle, unless it's so damn blatant that there's no way they can do it. And they know you're going to pursue it in a higher court and it's going to make them look bad. Like you're going to the federal court and you're suing the shit out of them and you've got the evidence, like saying something stupid, like, I hate homeschooling and then steal your children, or seizing somebody's cell phone and coercing somebody across one state line to cross another state line. I mean, you're talking about multiple felonies here and constitutional rights violations, as well as having third hand, fourth hand hearsay be sworn in by somebody as true fact that you're swearing to hearsay. I mean, that's called perjury in any court. It doesn't, family court is not above the rules of civil procedure. And a lot of people don't understand that. If you guys want to go into your judges and magistrates for your family courts, go look at the rules of civil procedure. They must follow them because it's a civil courtroom. They must. And when they don't, then you know what to quote against them and saying, hey, you violated rules of civil procedure. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this particular thing, this section here. We're going to move on. We are going to finish tonight. Yes, we're at the very end of the Declaration of Independence, and we're at the section, if you guys will, and I'll maximize here, where we're talking about where we've laid out what exactly Britain or the people that were oppressing us. And I'm going to minimize this chat here and we'll pick up where we left off so you guys can see this. But we're going to finish this up tonight. We're over here, okay, on the right-hand side, second, paragraph. We finished up last time. We went a little bit over to, finish up the other column. And we're going to wrap up the last of it right here. He has constrained our fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to be executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their own hands. He's talking about people that were sent over to judge and do this and take people captive for a bunch of crap. And they're talking about maritime law. Look at this here. Captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country. That's what you're talking about, maritime law. This is what we acknowledged here, which is why we don't have maritime law under common law, under our Constitution, because doesn't have anything to do with trade. And those are the things they deal with, codes and policies. But let's continue. He has excited domestic insurrection. In other words, the people right itself, like we're seeing with Antifa and a lot of those other extreme groups, and this is the stuff we're seeing, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages who know to rule of warfare, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sex, and conditions. In other words, they noticed the things between the Indians, and they went in and they just obliterated people. And they're talking about this stuff, having people rise up against these. In other words, we're not living in harmony with the people we're living with, such as during that time they called them Indian savages, the Native American tribes that were here, on this particular, on the coast along the colonies, and saying that you're going again, and it's the young against the old. It's this. Doesn't that sound familiar for all of us? Okay. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress. In other words, we've tried to work something out with you. In the most humblest terms, our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. What happens when we go for CPS and we make a complaint, this and that? We get what? Beat down even more, right? Sound familiar? This is the Declaration of Independence, people. Why we went to Revolutionary War. This is CPS. Every single one of just about every one of these charges, I say over 90% of these charges we had against England is exactly what CPS is doing to us and our families today. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be ruler of a free people, which is why we didn't have a king. So you're being tyrannical. You're being oppressive. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislator to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. You don't have jurisdiction, subject matter jurisdiction, all those different jurisdictions. This is where some of this comes from. We have reminded them the circumstances of our immigration and the settlement here. We have appealed native justice and magnanimity. Sorry, a little slow there. Eyes are hurting a little bit today. And we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would have inevitably interpret our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice. Sounds like family court, don't it? Nobody will listen. Right up there. And of the singularity, we must therefore acquaint us in the necessity which denounces our separation. In other words, we've had enough. We're creating a boundary, not dealing with this no more. And hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions due in name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies and of right ought to be free and independent states. Leave me alone. Quit getting involved in my home, in my life, in this and this and that. Just leave me alone unless I've broken something or violated you, committed a crime. But it's beyond going to crime. You're all up in my stuff. That they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown. We're severing the tie. We want to sever the tie with CPS, abolish them. And that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. In other words, we're done with you. We're wiping our hands of you. We're not going to be ruled over anymore. We're not going to be abused anymore. We're not going to. This is a lot of what our group is saying. We have had enough. And that as free independent states, they have the full power to levy war. Let's go to war. Conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do, or countries. And for support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives for our fortunes. And here's one that you don't hear much about anymore, and our sacred honor. Now you'll see everybody here. These are all the people that signed. Bam. Wow. Laid it out. I mean, so much of that lines right up with what CPS is doing us today is the same abuses that Great Britain was doing to our founding country just coming out. And they said, we've had enough. We have better honor than this. And if you want to continue to try and do this, we swear to protect each other, even if it means our lives for our freedom. Can you imagine if all these parents came together there? You're muted too. Can you imagine all these parents that actually rose up and did something and even exercised, even to the point of their Second Amendment, to come together to get their kids, and these people come together because they've been abused and quiet, and the numbers are no longer small. You guys do realize during the Declaration of Independence, it only took 3%. 3% of the population to stand up. You do realize with the numbers in CPS and the parents involved over the decades that have been abused by this system and everything else, we are way past 3%.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Just with, so 7 million people were investigated, 7 million investigations last year by CPS, right? So 7 million passed the investigation last year. There's at least the mom, the dad, and the daughter. Let's just say that it's always a 3-family kid, a 3-family system. But you got 3, that's 7 million times 3. That's 21 million parents that you have that are, that 21 million people out of the United States, so
and
what,
that's a low side.
Right. So that's 330 million is the population, right? So
What's
that's
that?
3%. I mean, 330 million is the population, right?
340, yes.
So divided by 21, or so 21 million from that reaches that threshold, doesn't it? That you're just talking about, just about 3%.
Yeah, if you're at 21, I mean, those are the things that we hear today. But now you're talking cumulative. Those are new cases per year.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Now, if you look back 20 years times that,
now multiply that once again by, well, let's say conservatively 5.
Yeah.
Multiply 21 times 5. That's 105 million people. They've gone through over a third. We're at the 33% tile.
Yeah.
Cumulatively.
In 5 years. In 5
years.
Yep. So that's
how
crazy.
Are they getting here? Are we getting away with this because we're not organizing, because it's about shame, because it's about this and this and that, instead of people coming together and going, hell no, and marching down of saying, you will not. Because remember, the power is found in the people, not in that, and they are not exercising anything for a leg to stand on of saying, well, you're causing an insurrection, or you're trying to overthrow the government of this. And no, I'm not. I'm removing the tyranny. Here's your crimes. See, this is the thing I think that they hate, especially about the reckoning and the the we the people's case that we have going here, is now the evidence is on the federal court record of felonies enough that even just in the state of Tennessee, if they wanted to rise up, it would be 100% legal and documented to knock this shit off. What are you going to do when people start coming up with this and that? Sheriffs, uphold your oath. You sworn your allegiance to the state, to the Third Reich.
Yep.
Well, we got to stand with the state. No, Sheriff. Somebody's done. Yeah, let me explain some things to some sheriffs and those that are watching that for law enforcement. When you were elected by your county, your first duty is to the Constitution, and the second is to the people that elected you in that county. That's it. Not to the state. State doesn't have power over the sheriff. Do you know that? A lot of people don't realize that either. Your county sheriff is the most powerful person in your county. Can arrest judges, can arrest the governor, whatever they need to do, because they represent the county. And if they would do their job, there's the other poison. It wasn't just our court systems. It just wasn't CPS. It was a poison that got into the sheriff's departments, that these sheriffs are not trained, not doing their damn job. And I said, well, we're too busy with this. Start protecting the people. You're worried about this and that. There's people out here that don't trust you or your deputies. Why? Because they're criminals. They're committing constitutional rights violations on a daily basis. They're showing up with CPS. That's a criminal act. That's aiding and abetting somebody in an attempt to violate your Fourth Amendment right. They just need to get in the house. They just need to do this. It's even person secured. If they're in my house, you can't. The difference from being out in public and then being in your house, you need a warrant. Bye. Well, we chased him here to this house and we're coming in the house. No. Well, we're in pursuit. Fourth Amendment. Go get a warrant. I'll wait. But you cannot break into my house. You dodge into somebody else and the person that is the homeowner of the house says, get a warrant. You can't enter into the house. Well, we're chasing a subject. This is not public property. This is private. Go get a warrant and the judge will give you a warrant. Do the right thing. Get a warrant to come in the house. You can surround the house all day till you go get a warrant. But you're not going to detain me. You're not going to do this. And the same thing falls for your hotel room and for your car. You know why they don't want tinted windows? Because they can't look into your house. Oh, we didn't think about that. Oh, it's a driver issue. No, it's not. Tinted windows don't allow law enforcement to go looking around or peeking in your house because there's not really a curtilage for your vehicle. There is for your house. Semantics. It's semantics. 100%. But yeah, I mean, it's, tonight we finished up the series, one of the foundation documents we'll pick back up. I believe we're in the articles in the Constitution, but we felt there needed to be a time that people needed to realize, especially with what was going on in our country, why we needed to cover the Declaration of Independence. We need to know what this says. Okay. And they're getting so out of control when we watch just these videos. It's not even hard to pick out the criminal activity of what's going on. You want to have an investigation. We need this. Well, we need to do a home study, get a warrant and have probable cause. You have to have probable cause of what? Search or seizure, not to inspect. There is nothing in the Constitution for, you cannot, it's search and seizure. You're here to search and or seize. You require a warrant. Not a court order, a warrant. Court order is completely different. Court order says I'm giving you permission to do it. A warrant says you got to have probable cause to just get in the house. And that has to come from an Article 3 judge. That's right. Your Article 4 judges in your family court systems that are writing warrants or court orders to enter are getting a little bit big for their britches, and every one that they write or signed is a criminal act. You must be an Article 3 judge per the federal courts. That's the way it's done by the Constitution. Article 3 is the only one, unless Congress has given specific allocations for an administrative law judge, and there are some for state, those are your criminal judges that are allowed to adjudicate those things. But that's it. That's an Article 3 judge. And then you have to meet why it has to be Article 3 judge? Because an Article 3 judge takes, and especially, it can be especially in Article 1 if derived, if there's special occasions. An Article 3 judge has special training. It's supposed to have special training or special goggles, if you will, or the checklist, the magic checklist, to even allow for a warrant to go through. They think, well, I'm a magistrate or judge, I'll just sign on this. It's not legal. Why you got an Article 4 judge trying to sign a warrant to get into a house? That's like when they have grand juries and everything else. You must go to an Article 3 judge, and they have to sign their name next to what the grand jury finds, that they find it credible and everything else, and then they sign off on it, which then that judge signs off on the warrants. Because there's probable cause that is given to send out a warrant to pick somebody up. But see, there's the other thing that they break the law on. We're going to arrest you right away. Do you realize if you're arrested, where's the first place you're supposed to go after you're arrested?
That'd be a magistrate, Governor.
You mean they're not supposed to go straight to jail?
That's a magistrate, Governor.
By law. When you didn't, you have a due process violation. I went from here to the jail, and then I was held, and then I couldn't have court for 3 to 5 days, or I was in there 7 days before I was able to get a hearing. That is a due process violation. You are to go immediately before the magistrate to testify, and then the magistrate is supposed to sign off on it with an arrest warrant, the same as a grand jury. A grand jury is of the people. Peace officers, this and that, can attest to firsthand experience or knowledge or evidence of presenting it to the judge the same way a grand jury can. That is one of the duties of the sheriff, is to present that evidence to get the arrest warrant. But it has to be signed off on a judge. We have gotten so far away from this because, well, we can write our own rules, we can do this and that. And how did we get to that? Because you have things called police departments. Police departments are only code enforcers, is all they really are, for city codes. They are not elected. Your sheriff is elected. It's an elected official. Your police chief is appointed. They're not elected. That's reserving the power within the government bodies or the corporations, compared to a sheriff that is a duly elected sheriff that can be what? Removed by the people. Once they insulate them so well within the system of the corporation, or some call it deep state, we call it the corporation, because it's set up like businesses, because every city is a business. And then we do this and we do that, and we enforce the state. Or, well, the state does not have laws. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a lie. Darren, what is the only group allowed to make laws in this country?
That'd be our elected Congress.
Congress? Now, is that state Congress can do this?
No, federal only.
Oh, you mean that the states can't pass and make laws?
No, they can only make statutes and codes.
Guys, the more you know, we're not under statutes and codes. We're not liable under statutes and codes because we're free people. That's for commerce only. That's what we've been trying to get people to do. But these judges and magistrates, because it makes them money. I'm not an entity. Well, then people come into the all caps name and the corporate, and how all that comes in and how they fool people. All of that's true. And what are you going to do? Because it's a real thing. They've made you into a corporation or an LLC, but you don't run it. They run it for you. The government does, because you haven't claimed it. And a lot of people, oh, that's crazy talk. And no, it's not. You can go back and reclaim and file forms with the IRS to reclaim your name and power over that corporate name. And you can set up your own corporate, but they don't want you to know that. This is why all of us should have family trusts. Because if we have trusts, you can't touch it. We get the final say. A trust means the people have the final say, not the courts. And if you want to insulate trusts, there's ways to insulate trust that where, judges here can give orders about this and that. And you could turn around and tell the judge, hey, guess what? No. Why? Because my trust is a place that doesn't recognize your authority and you can piss off. And that even comes down to property. Why do you think all these people that have a lot of wealth and everything else, what do? They have trusts. They call them trust fund babies, this and that, families with this and this. Oh, they're a part of a trust. They're part of this. And these were major corporations. These are people that protect their families. Their kids don't get messed with by CPS. Why? The kids don't belong to the government. They belong to the trust. Why? Because the trust, when you drew up the trust, you absorbed all the kids, and it's written into the trust that we absorb all the children. And here is the updated, and you can have a registry, even within your trust. Here are the people that are part of the trust, and here are their numbers. Nobody can do anything with these numbers or anything else without the permission of the trust. And there ain't a judge out there that can do nothing. Your Honor, children are in the trust. You can't take them. But yeah, you have to claim them under their entity name, their social security, the all caps of this. And you have to identify that because there are books. And Darren will tell you this too. How many of you know that there's a book on punctuations for writing laws and codes and everything else and stuff like that? Like where the apostrophe goes, where the colon goes specifically within this order, before this order, in this and that, means a huge thing when writing law, code, statutes, all that stuff. Capitalization, all caps, big cap, then lowercase, letters, everything else, stuff like that afterwards. That's a whole different thing. If you can't sign your name, this is why cursive is so important. If you don't have a signature, you realize the government defers to you as an ignorant individual, and that it steps in your case because you're too dumb to sign your name. Therefore, you can't contract, so the government will do all the contracting for you as they see fit. Like you're indigent. Yeah, your mic's off again.
No, I was just saying, wow. It's just freaking wow, man. It's crazy. And
people think that that people are crazy and conspiracy theorists, except for we come to find out the word conspiracy theorist was created by the CIA to turn people away from things that actually had a whole lot of truth in it because they didn't want it to be discovered.
It's just nuts.
There's been
so
much evil, man, going on for years now, decades, that people didn't even know about, pulling the strings of the public. And now everybody's like, well, here, Darren, how do you feel about this? There's been a lot of talk with Israel that, this stuff's been going on with Israel. The Epstein Island was a blackmail site for Israel and Mossad and all this other stuff, working with the CIA and all these other things. Well, that's anti-Semitic. You're turning on Israel and blah, 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 blah. And that's not the case. That a few individuals that are in power or in political things use their positions for evil or for manipulation doesn't represent, especially for a lot of Judeo-Christians, doesn't mean they're the same. As a matter of fact, the people that practice Judaism actually call these individuals that do this Zionists.
Yep.
These are the Zionists of the nation. They care more about the money and the gold and this and that and the political influence and this and that. They don't worry about pleasing, Yahweh. That's not their goal. Their goal is about the nation of Israel rather than, the spiritual net. Like it's two different entities. And people can't seem to separate those two to where you've got to look at where some of these people came from. And why do we have people? Here's my other question there, and I don't think a lot of people knew this either. Why do people either have dual citizenship sitting in Congress, either the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate, and they have to swear an allegiance? Literally, there's a pact, like a UNICEF pact, I think is what it's called, or something. You'll have to forgive me, but there's actually a thing saying that they will support Israel contract within their decisions of what they do. When did we start? We're supposed to be putting our country first. No other country is supposed to come in. Not Great Britain, not Israel, not Iran, not Iraq, not any of them. We're supposed to be putting Americans first under our Constitution. How are they sitting in their positions by signing that contract or making that allegiance?
So you're telling me that dual citizenship people can still run for Congress?
Mm-hmm.
How does that even make sense? Oh, I want
look it
to
up on how many people have dual citizenship in Congress. It'll blow your mind.
I've been reading all up about the sheriff stuff this during the show, man. It's some crazy stuff. I find that intriguing. But yes, how many dual citizens? Hello, how many dual citizens are in Congress?
Yeah.
Some estimate that the number may be up to 30. Wow.
How many members of Congress are not natural born citizens? 26 representatives and 6 senators. 6% of the 119th Congress. That they were born elsewhere. Cuba, Germany, Guatemala, India, Japan, South Korea, Peru, Ukraine. Yeah.
Says at least 76 of the voting members of the 117th Congress are foreign born or have at least one parent born in another country.
Yeah. Your senators. I mean, a lot of these other things. We've got people, and I know a lot of people, some people are big for Ted Cruz. How many people know that Ted Cruz was born in Canada?
There are 10 Jewish senators and 25 Jewish members of the House of Representatives.
Listen, man, but there's no federal law on dual citizenship. I think that should change. I think it should be a natural born citizen with this country first. I mean, that is an issue we're having in Congress now. Is Omar especially is all about one country. This one's about that country. This one's about that, and we'll put it first. Even there was one that was just recently revealed of they'll always have South Korea's best interest in mind. That's a conflict of interest. And I don't think a lot of people realize this. But yeah, I mean, I think it's wild. I think our world's changing. I think we've got a lot of information. We are putting people in positions that are supposed to be representing us that that are not representing our states and or our counties as congressmen, or in the districts, or senators. The question then becomes, maybe you ought to take a little bit closer look at your own state and see how many of your state representatives or local representatives have the same issue. dual citizenship, or not even, natural born citizen, or, allegiance to this and this and that. I mean, we really need to really watch. I think we need to make some changes, honestly. I think we need to do that. People can say that's discriminatory, but I've got no problem. You were born here, raised here, and you've done this and that. But once you start doing other things, you get other ideals that are not American, and trying to put other things or their belief systems here that you think, well, this country does it better, we need to do it like them. And we've even had that word or that conversation with education. Hey, we need to be more like Japan. We need to do more of this. They need to go to school year round. Those type of things. I've heard a lot of that, especially over the years. But guys, it's been fun. I appreciate you guys taking and joining us. Once again, I think we'll bring the chats back up. And once again, we had a lot to cover tonight. Thanks for being here with us, Darren, once again, the CPS Punisher. Thanks again. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Tiff and the Punisher. Tomorrow night about 7:30, 8 o'clock, that's going on. We've got a lot of other new shows, meat and potatoes, just a lot of stuff out there. We're growing. The network's huge. Don't forget to check out the website at cpsbreakingnews.com.
Go to the forum there. Go to the forum. Use that forum.
Yeah, use the forum and everything else that's there for the different shows. If you want to be a guest on the show, go to one of the shows that we have here. Go to that website also, and you can sign up there, and we can try and fit that in through here. Do a little pre-screening. We are trying to build and collaborate with those things and growing as we do and get a little bit more organized. Thank you for being patient with us. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing us and joining in and being interactive, especially out there, because if it wasn't for you guys out there in the audience paying attention, I know we're probably being shadow banned again, because why? We're getting
super low numbers, super low.
Yeah, we're getting numbers where we were reaching everywhere, and now we're not, mainly because the case is taking off. There's been a lot of development, and CPS doesn't want you to know that you can look for these things. Get your kids back home, get your family back together, and get into the federal courts and hold them accountable. But that's what scares them, is that we figured this out, find a way, and then everybody starts doing the same thing, because it's going to come through a float. Because this is why Rooker versus Feldman is there as a blockade. So these bullshit immunities that they say that they have, and this and that as a blockade. We have found ways around those things, and the thing is we can attack for so long, and we hit them hard till they adjust things and try to salvage themselves, which they have done throughout history of the corporations and through the Child Protective Services. Thanks again. We'll see you next week. Same bat channel, same bat time here at Gunning for CPS. 9:30 p.m. every Sunday night. We appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Don't forget to share the show. And listen, if you missed anything during the show, don't forget you can go on YouTube, go to the CPS Breaking News Network channel and or Gunning for CPS, and go back and watch the rebroadcast of this, as they do rebroadcast those. Share those with people. Get people to take and watch them, because our biggest numbers, believe it or not, is not actually our live shows. It's the thousands of people that are watching it worldwide after the show, because everybody's on a different time zone, and especially across the world, where they say, hey, it may be 9-10 o'clock your time, but it's like 5 o'clock in the morning my time, 4 o'clock in the morning my time. I'm going to bed. I ain't dealing with this. But this is happening because they want to see what America does, so they can lead the way in their country to stop the same thing that they're happening there, the trafficking of their children by Child Protective Services. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week.